the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some days I sit and wish I was a kid again. Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some.
Hey everybody, J-Hat Drummer 1976 here, and I thought today, I didn't catch up on Monday, but you know, a lot of things went down. Couldn't really get to do a video, but I thought today I would kind of make up for yesterday. We had a good weekend of sports, so let's get to it. The best one, of course, was the AFC and NFC championship game, and that one, I mean, I'm not a big fan of the Baltimore Ravens, but I do like Ray Lewis, and always respected him, and didn't matter, you know where he played or anything, but you know, it's good to see him go to the Super Bowl, and if they win, hey, it's gonna be a good game against the 49ers, a very young team. So it's gonna be a good showdown for the Super Bowl, and I'm definitely gonna watch that, no doubt. All right. So yeah. So today I'm going to talk about, so being Tuesday and all, and I'm trying to do different themes and stuff. So today I thought I'd tell you, give you a little story about, I'm going to call this Back in the Day. And back in the day, I'm going to tell you about the first time I got to go to an arcade. A really cool arcade here in my hometown. I'm going to take you back to 1987. I had just turned 10 in 86. So in 87, my mom's dad, who's Grandpa, so he said during that time I was going to Scioto Downs a lot in Columbus, and it's a horse racing place, which is now a they have a casino there now, and it's pretty cool. But before that, it was just a horse racing, harness racing. And my grandpa says, okay, I'm going to let you pick where you want to go. Since you turned 10, it's gonna be a guys' night out. You and me, we're gonna go out. It's like, all right. He's like, okay, so where do you want to go? And I said, well, how about first of all we go we go to Play Palace, because that's where I wanted to go, the arcade. You know, hardly ever got to go to the arcade, but going there. And he says, okay, we'll go there, cool, but you want to stop and get something to eat first? And I said, sure. And I'm thinking McDonald's or Burger King, we'll just get something and go. He says, no. He says, we're gonna go to Big Boy. We're gonna go to Big Boy. And I was like, sweet, because Big Boy at that time, before it became a huge restaurant, it was actually a diner. Your typical diner, corner diner, off the freeway. So I was like, okay, so we went there, we ate, went to Play Palace, and you want to talk about being 10 years old and just, oh my goodness, being 10 years old and, and seeing all of this stuff around you, all these video games, all this stuff. And he's like, okay, we ain't got a lot of time, but if you want to hang here for an hour, we can, I was like, sweet. So I went and started playing Pole Position. I went and played Ghosts and Goblins and all this stuff. And, I mean, pinball. But Pole Position, I'll be honest with you, that game, the sit down, where you're sitting down and you're like in the cockpit, and you're just, and the pedals are down here, and man, for a 10-year-old, that was sweet. to have your like a grandpa just say, "Go nuts, go nuts," and for a 10-year-old, that was pretty badass. So then we got to go to the horse racing. The horse racing was fun, but but I was just like, just wanting to run around and stuff, But to go to Play Palace, and I think a couple of years later, it actually finally, because you got to understand, this is 87. And Nintendo had just come out. And when it did, and when it finally came out, a lot of the arcade places started to close, and Play Palace, I think a year later, ended up closing its doors. But I can actually say that, when people say, "Hey, do you remember Play Palace out on North Bridge Street?" I'm like, yeah, I got to go there, man. And like one night, I got to hang there for an hour. I was 10 and playing, all kinds of games. Like the Star Wars game was there. I got to play it, even though I didn't know how, but just to play it, the racing games, like I was talking about Pole Position. Pole Position became one of my all-time favorites, from an arcade standpoint, not from a platform standpoint, but for a arcade standpoint. Ghosts and Goblins, which I reviewed on my first video. Yari Kung Fu. That was the first fighting game I ever played. Even though I said it on the first one, that was the first arcade game. Street Fighter 2 was the platform I got to play. Then I went to the arcade, and then I got to play it. So with all that, other games that were in there, Jungle Hunt, and there were some pinball games in there, like old school. And man, I'll tell you, that was in my being 10 years old, being finally hitting double digits, and for a grandpa to go, where do you want to go? We're gonna have a guys' night out. So where do you want to go? I was like, I want to play some video games, And he was like, well, sure, but you don't want to hang out in the arcade all night, do you? And I'm like, if I could, that would be awesome. But got to go to Side of Downs. And of course, for a while there, when I was a kid, that became sort of a 4th of July tradition. We would have a party, and then we would go to Side of Downs, or not even have a party and just go. And then we would come back, and then and when we came back, it was time for the fireworks, in our hometown. And so basically, looking back on all that stuff is pretty cool. To be 10 years old, almost towards the end of the 80s, knowing that I was, not knowing about whether or not I was going to get a Nintendo, whether I was going to, because I think 87, I still had an Atari. But yeah, but I just wanted to share that with you guys. And again, comment, subscribe. If you're watching this and you're from my hometown, Chillicothe, Ohio, comment, put something down. Just subscribe if you want to. Request stuff. I would really love for you guys to request. And any YouTubers out there, all over the world, man, tell me what you want to do. I'm doing this as best as I can. No, I got pretty, this web stuff is, the webcam and everything, but I just want to hear from you guys, and comment, subscribe, and request, because I don't know how long I'm going to be doing this, but anyway, Wednesday, I'm going to do a DVD review. Some of my old DVDs, which you can actually see behind me. Maybe not, but it's kind of like on the lower left there. So I'm going to go ahead and get off, and again, you guys have a nice day, and thought I'd take you back in the day. And y'all, talk to you guys later. Take it easy.